Hi, my name's Phillip Ebbs. I'm a paramedic and I teach into the paramedic degree here at Charles Sturt University. So being a paramedic really is an amazing job. You get to see things and be a part of incidents and events that most people in society and most professions just don't get to be a part of. I remember back in the early 2000s, the Pope was visiting Sydney and I was actually placed there at the Opera House as a paramedic with a partner, Grant, to take care of the crowds that were gathering to watch the Pope's motorcade pass through the Opera House precinct. So the Pope's motorcade was going all the way through Sydney streets, and about a minute out from the Pope arriving at the Opera House, his motorcade got separated from the Pope. So the medical team that was part of the Pope's motorcade took a wrong turn, and the Pope no longer had any medical coverage should something go wrong. So I remember I got a call on the radio to say that I was now in charge of the Pope's medical well-being as he passed through this Opera House precinct. It's kind of a funny story because I usually wish the very best for my patients, but I did think that, you know, if he did have a heart attack and so I had to revive him or something like that, I think I'd be in the good books, you know, in a divine sense for a little while. I think I could call in a few favours maybe. Maybe not. I'm not really a religious person, but it was something that did cross my mind at the time. Then there are, of course, the more serious events and the more tragic events. Like I remember in 2014, I was a senior manager and based in my office in Sydney when I got a call from one of my staff who headed up the events management team for New South Wales Ambulance. He was at a meeting in Martin Place and he gave me a call to say that that there was an incident unfolding about 50 metres away from him and that there appeared to be a shooter, and that was the Link Cafe. That was the Link Cafe event. The next phone call I got was to head into the control centre to establish and be a part of the state incident management team to coordinate New South Wales Ambulance paramedic resources that were involved in that incident and some of the surrounding things that were going on. And so that was kind of a really serious time and kind of quite a tragic event in itself. Once again, though, whether it's taking care of a Pope and kind of having a bit of a joke, or being involved in something quite serious and where the stakes are quite high, still as a paramedic you get to be involved in these incidents, you get to be a part of these things, and there are not many professions at all that get access to that, or there's not many professions and people who are willing to step up and take a role in those types of events. So you really can make a difference as a paramedic. I think, however, thinking about the events, the incidents and range of things that I've been a part of through my career, it was probably about 2 years ago that something hit me, and I think it's really, really relevant to this quick chat today. I was giving a lecture to some students in the paramedic degree here at Charles Sturt, and I talked to the students about the first time I went to a childbirth. I remember went to a childbirth and that we arrived just about a minute or two after the child had actually been delivered. But by the time that we got into the room where the child and the mother was, unfortunately the child was having some real was in a bad way. The child wasn't breathing or was breathing very slowly. Mum was just an absolute legend. She was an incredible woman. She'd done everything she could. And our focus turned, of course, to resuscitating the child. And I just briefly mentioned this job and talked about the types of priorities that we have as paramedics in these types of circumstances. But it struck me that I was talking to a group of people who were 19 or 20 years old, and that job that I was talking about occurred about 19 years prior. So it kind of affected me. I thought to myself, one of the people in this room here today could be that child, or at least one of the people in this room today is the same age as that child. And what happened to that child? Is that child now studying to be a doctor, a nurse, or a paramedic, or an engineer? Is that child the person that served my coffee this morning at the cafe? Or did they answer the email inquiry I made to this company or that? It doesn't really matter what that child was doing. What's important is that that child is now an individual, a member, a person, a part of our society, a valued person that contributes to our community. What's important is that person is alive. And to think for a moment that I've been involved in an event right at the beginning of that person's life where the result was that the person could live, it's just a huge honour to have gone to that particular incident and to have been invited into that home and to have helped the mother and the child in those circumstances. So being a paramedic really is an amazing job. You do get to go and see things and be part of incidents and events that other people don't usually get to be a part of. But I think the most meaningful and the most important part is the difference that you can make to an individual's life. That for me is what's at the heart of being a paramedic.